RWBY Volume 5, Episode 9, Perfect Storm. This is a pretty interesting episode. Unfortunately, it wasn't the super cool action episode that I was hoping it was going to be, but it was entertaining. They did lead to at least the start of another really crazy portion of the story for this volume. Hopefully this volume is probably not going to be until next volume. But, excuse me, Raven actually ends up making a deal with Cinder. I thought that was going to be like, crazy epic battle and stuff. And they actually just talk. It's pretty calm. Pretty tense. It was tense because I was curious, like, how in the world is this about to play out? But ultimately, they end up making this deal, and Raven actually realizes that in order to defeat Salem, or at least what she believes is her way to defeat Salem, is actually to let all this chaos kind of unfold, and then she and Vernal will be the ones to unlock whatever this door is and get this relic, and then they will use that against Salem. And I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. Apparently, even though that's, the lie that she told Cinder was like, sure, we'll team up and do all that. Apparently the crow part was true. She's like, sure, go ahead, help me kill my brother. So, I mean, dang, that's harsh. Or maybe she was lying about that because she was trying to give him a clue. I mean, obviously she went to him for a reason. So maybe we'll see the continuation of that in next week's episode. But he heard her, and then, that's when Oscar came in. So he kind of just ignored it. But that was interesting. It was like, okay, that was the first move that she made, was that she went to see her brother. And it could have just been, this might be the last time I actually see him through the window, and then, take off after that. So, who knows? That would be very interesting to see if that's how that ends up playing out, that she actually does care. And, maybe we'll see that actual battle. We'll see her fight to actually be a good human being. That would be an interesting twist. But I thought it was cool. I was like, okay, well, this leads to, even though it wasn't that epic fight I was hoping for, that conversation led to something that, honestly, I just don't think is going to work. I think that's going to lead to an insane, fight, because Raven is going to be like, all right, Vernal, let's open this door up. Let's do this while they do that. Obviously, Cinder is like, all right, well, we'll let the White Fang actually attack first, and then we'll go in. But, of course, the main point of that for her is to try to get her revenge on RWBY. So, even, Watt says it, like, when he stops her from shaking hands, it's like, don't think I don't know what you're doing. And if this blows up, I'm not going to take the fall with you. So, I thought that was a cool little moment where he's like, I'm not stupid. Like, I know you're only doing this for revenge over that kid. So, I thought that was an interesting little moment for him. But, of course, at that point, there's not much that's going to happen. It's like, she was just like, well, then what are you worried about if you're not taking the fall with me? What does it matter? Like, you got nothing to lose. So, they're leading towards some stuff where it's like, Cinder wants to have this epic, revenge battle against RWBY, and then Raven, now knowing the secret about this relic, because she, of course, assumed it was like, hey, let's get the maiden and steal her away. It's like, we don't want the maidens, we actually just want the relics that the maidens can help us get to. So, her now knowing that is like, oh, there's a new element that's just been dropped into this battle, and now there can actually be a battle against Salem. So, I love that element of it. I'm excited to see it play out, like I said, considering where we are, in the volume, unless it's just like really extended or we start moving much faster. I don't think we're going to actually see it play out. Like, I would be shocked if we actually got to see this attack that they talked about, because they mentioned, I want to say they said it was in like, I'm pretty sure they just said 2 days, so we should be able to see this attack actually take place on the city. So that's my hope, because I'm pretty sure they said 2 days and not 2 weeks. But either way, I'm hoping we get to see it. But I was like, alright, that was interesting. We got to see them, kind of avoid a battle. Unfortunate. But it led to some interesting stuff, and we're going to see Raven and Vernal now team up with Cinder, Mercury, and Emerald, as well as Watts, if he is going to actually be joining them. And so that's going to lead to quite a few crazy little scenarios with, of course, most of Team RWBY at least being in that location at the time of the battle. And then, of course, Crow being there, Oscar/Ozpin being there as well. So there's a lot for them to kind of have chaos over, once they decide to go into that battle. But we do get to see the continuation of what's going on in Menagerie, and that was pretty cool. Once again, short, because the conversation actually took up a huge chunk of the episode, but we did get to at least see a little bit of action. So we got to see, I can't think of his actual name, but, Blake's dad. So we get to see him go, like, super crazy, and he's flipping people around, and he's, like, grabbing staffs and just lifting people up with one arm and, tossing them across the room and stuff. And so he's dealing with the brothers, and we get to see their weapons a little bit more, which is cool. So one has fire, one has wind. So I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. We get to see that. We also get to see them combine their powers after Sun and Blake actually jump in. and Sun is able to like disperse all the energy. So I was like, oh, that's actually really really cool. So I love getting to see their powers, like their weapons actually combined. So I thought that was pretty sweet. And then we got to see Blake use one of her clones and make it into an ice clone. So that was really cool because we haven't seen that since like I don't think that's happened since Volume 2 when they were on the train. I don't think she did it in Volume 3 where she used dust to make like elemental versions of her clones. So that was pretty cool. It's like, oh man, we got to see an ice version or just in general an elemental version because we hadn't seen that in a minute. So I thought that was actually pretty cool. But they're all about to fight, and then her dad's like, go ahead, like you find your mom, and Sun and her dad actually end up fighting against the twins or the brothers. I don't know if 100% of they're twins. I would assume they are. So that was cool. Unfortunately, once again, it cuts away. We don't get to actually see the rest of that fight go on. We get to see Blake running through the hallways, and then she comes across this big room, and it ends on a bit of a cliffhanger because now she has to fight her old friend. So I'm looking forward to that. Once again, I hope that it picks up and we have some of the action because it was like the last 2 episodes were like that big cliffhangers lead into like these cool action moments, and then more than half of this episode, because I was super excited. I was like, I thought they were doing everything I was expecting because it was a 15-minute episode. I was like, oh man, it's going to be like an insane amount of action. I figured with it being 15 minutes, it wasn't going to be 15 straight minutes of action, but I was like, it's going to be 15 minutes, most of it, or at least a quarter of it, back and forth would be action and conversation. And I was like, no, more than half this episode, like I think when it got down to it, it was maybe 3 minutes, if that, worth of actual action within the episode. So it was like, once again, we were kind of skirting on all the epic action sequences. So I'm hoping that the next episode picks up on the action and it doesn't kind of stray away. I'm sure we'll get more story because I'm sure we will see the continuation of what Raven is going to decide to do, whether she's going to warn her brother or not and say, hey, I said that I wanted you dead, so when this happens, you guys need to be like together, and stuff like that. So maybe she'll tell them, maybe she won't, but in the end, she wants to just stay out of the situation, so maybe she will end up going to her brother because she was like, I'm not helping Salem, I'm not helping Crow, I just want to be out of this whole thing. So at this point, if that's truly what she wants, the best thing to do is to team up with Crow and Osmond, even if she hates them both. So that might be what she decides to do. That might be what her struggle is right now, is to be like, hey, this is what's going to happen. This is how I think we can beat Salem. And this will be like, as much as she might not want to hang out with her brothers, like this is our final, this is what we can do to just get rid of this whole scenario and just destroy Salem. So she might actually team up with the heroes, and she'll be that weird middle ground, like you kind of trust her, but you still don't really know 100%. So I feel like that might be where it's headed for her character at this point. But I am excited to see how things play out ultimately. I do hope we actually do get to see this crazy raid with the White Fang, and we get to see Adam and we get to see Hazel actually go there, and they're dealing with the heroes and stuff. So that would be fantastic. Who knows if that'll actually come to be in this volume, but I'm definitely looking forward to where we're headed. Of course, with next week's episode, I am hoping that we do get to see, a lot more action, because that's what I was thinking with this episode. 15 minutes, I'm like, I was ready, and then it was like a lot of talking. Talking was tense, so I will at least give it that. Like, it wasn't just exposition, it was a bit of tension. And heck, it was nothing new either. It was all old information. It was just, Raven was the one getting new information. We knew about the relics. They kind of spell it out for us, really, like, oh, it's not the maidens that she's interested in, it is the relics 100%. So, that was pretty much it. It was just like, they kind of stamped it in, like, it's official, maidens don't matter, it's just these, magical items. So, it does bring up the importance of those magical items. It does make me wonder if they already have one of the relics, because I don't think they've ever really talked about whether or not they have, the relic that, I totally forgot what maiden Cinder actually is right now. I want to say, I think she's Summer. I really can't remember. I never remember who is what maiden. But I don't think they've ever really talked about the specifics of whether or not they've already gone through that process of her getting, or her unlocking whatever door that she needs to unlock to get that specific relic. So they might not have any of them at this point, and if they do, we haven't seen much from it. Maybe they can't be used individually, but I would assume if they're, tied to each individual maiden, why wouldn't they have powers, set on their own? Why wouldn't each relic have its own little set of crazy powers? So we'll have to wait and see. In the end, like, that's all we can do is just wait and hope for some crazy action, some crazy revelations, maybe some deaths. I don't know. I always say, at this point, with the series as it is, people can die, and it's like I don't want anyone to, at least none of the main good characters. But yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. But all in all, I am still excited. I do hope that the next episode starts with the fight and it doesn't start with some talking, because it's been real talky when it's been leading up to some action seriously in these past 2 episodes, and then this one had a little bit of it, but not nearly as enough, not nearly as much as I thought we were gonna have. I'm sure same goes for you guys. Like, you probably thought it was gonna be insane in this episode, and it was not. The one fight that actually was a fight still was like 3 minutes worth, at the end of the episode, and the other part that seemed like it was going to be the even crazier fight between two maidens was really just talking the whole way through for like 10 minutes, or not, I was about to say 15 of the 15 episodes, but 10 to like 12 minutes out of the whole episode. So, I do hope that we actually get an insane action sequence in the next episode. I feel like we're due for one, because we haven't had one this volume, not that I can think of, like outside of Weiss having her really cool moment. We haven't had like an epic like hand-to-hand combat sort of battle or anything like that. Not that, unless I'm forgetting something already, but I feel like there hasn't been one of those moments where it's like, here are these characters in like crazy drawn out fights and stuff where it's over the top. Once again, Yang had she had a pretty cool fight, and once again, that was really early on too when Weiss had her moment, but nothing like super insane. Like Weiss having her fight, that was really cool. And then Yang having her fight was really cool too, but we haven't really had like any fights even outside of those. Like, there's been some punches thrown, but I wouldn't consider really anything else that we've had like a fight. Like, we had people get killed. We had like, the little thing in the last episode with Blake being captured. It was like, okay, some punches and kicks were thrown there, but no real fights really outside of like the first, or I mean, I guess that was like 3 or 4 episodes back when we had the fight with Yang, and then before that, I think it was like the second episode of the season was when Weiss had her moment. So that's really all we've had so far. Everything else has been conversation and like I said, like maybe a punch is thrown here or something like that. But we need like a crazy sequence, so I'm hoping that's what we get next week, or at least just a bunch of action, even if it's not like one epic insane moment. Just a nice set piece where it's like a couple of minutes is just pure action, because we really have not had that outside of like some training moments, maybe, if you even want to count that. But I hope that's what we get. But even if we don't, I'm sure I'll be entertained by something next week. But of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it, and I would love to know how you guys think things are going to play out with everything that's going on in Menagerie. Like, what's going to happen between Blake and Ilya, what's going to happen with Blake's mom, because that's like the one thing that's left up in the air. I thought that honestly, with the way they ended it, I thought they were going to show that her mom was like, at least past out, where it was like it leaves the option open that she might be dead or something, but they didn't show her at all. I thought that's how they were going to end the episode, like she may or may not be dead, or they would just flat out show that she was officially dead. So that would be an interesting way to kind of handle things going forward. But we'd love to know your predictions on how that battle is going to play out, if everyone will make it out alive. I don't know what revelations we could learn. I mean, maybe Blake and her family could learn about Sienna and that she's been murdered. So aside from that, I don't see them really having any revelations. So I'm hoping it's just like crazy, straight cool action fight sequences. But that's just me. Like I said, I want to know what you guys think is going to happen between Blake and Ilya and that entire fight in their house. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.